Welcome to the Ridgecrest Lost and Found podcast. We are back with another episode. It's going to be exciting. My name is Logan.
I'm Steven. What is the Lost and Found podcast, Logan?
I was trying to do it without that. I was going to try something new.
Okay, I thought you forgot. I was trying to keep you accountable.
No, but now
What? Okay.
This is a podcast where we get random people and talk about random things in the same way that you have a Lost and Found bucket at your church. This is what our podcast is about. Today, we have none other than Christopher White.
Thanks. Glad to be here. I'm so excited to know I'm just another random person.
Yes. You are just one of many.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing that is like exciting or like puts you above anybody else.
Yeah.
You're just
great.
normal in every way. How would you feel if I started calling you Christopher unironically?
You can do that. That's fine.
It's too many syllables for me.
That's fine.
That's my middle name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Christopher Robin.
Just
How many, if
Christopher.
you had to put a percentage of people in your life that call you Christopher, what would the percentage be?
So, Kayla, my wife, uses that every now and then. Only
she's
when I'm in
mad at
trouble.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm in trouble. Yeah, I
Guaranteed.
get the full name. And then my mother-in-law sometimes will say Christopher.
Oh.
So, but not when I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
More than she'll just say it.
Cricket's a nice lady.
Yes, her grandmother name is Cricket, and she.
Well,
picked that
I
out.
mean, I figured that was obvious.
It's not her real name.
Would she be upset that we just outed her grandma name in front of everybody?
I don't think so. She
I
likes
feel like
it.
Cricket's a good grandmother
She likes
name.
it. She likes it.
It's so interesting that like what'd you call your grandmother? Or
So I have a nana and a granny.
see, I feel like we went from like everyone was like mamaw, meemaw, granny, nanny, something like that, and then for our generation, it just went off the rails. Or I guess our parents' generation, it just went off the rails, and now it's all over the place.
Just random stuff too. Yeah.
What is your father-in-law's name, sir?
Papa.
Yeah, see, that's classic. I
Papa.
like that. Megan's grandfather, who is Cash and Cannon's great-grandfather, his name is, I think it's Pa.
Pa.
Like P-A.
Just Pa.
I have a hard time saying Pa. Not like physically, but like it's just weird to me.
Kind of drags out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like
Pa.
Yeah.
We got too much drawl to be doing just stuff like that. Anyway, Chris, we're glad you're here. We know each other from seminary and life and all kinds of stuff in ministry. We'll get into that in just a minute. The icebreaker that I wanted to start us off with today is a conversation that we had a few days ago that you have now kind of been able to really flush out and add to. So I'm excited to hear about it. And it's the conversation about the orientation of your watch.
That's right.
Because I guess what I would call your traditional way of wearing a watch, which is on top of the wrist, but you are an under the wrist.
So I've recently made that switch. I've been a lifetime, I guess you would call it topper or whatever. I don't know.
Maybe not
Probably
topper.
not that.
Maybe not the right
Maybe
one.
not topper.
But just wearing it on the top. And even like since high school, I've worn a watch since high school. But this watch is just a cheap Walmart watch because I'm rough on them. Rubbed just a little raw spot on top, so I just switched it over.
Mm-hmm.
But then wearing it under, I really have found so many areas in which it's better. It looks a little different, but like for example, I counsel. I'm in a counseling program, so I'm an intern, and it's such a more subtle movement for checking the time on your watch. It's like I can be sitting here talking to you, and to do this is a lot more obvious than just I can do that, and then I can glance down and know, hey, we've got 15 minutes left without being like, dude, are you done talking yet?
And people will call you out if you do the wrist turn and look just a little, even if it's subtle, but when you do this, everyone sees it and they go, oh, he's ready to get the heck out of
Very
here.
obvious.
Yes.
And in my office, I've got one seat that I can see the clock from and one seat where I can't see it. So great for it. It's very obvious when I check it because I have to kind of like turn. And so this has been really effective.
Or even if you do like you're trying to like do either like tent the hands or even maybe like, what is this called? Interlock and just kind of have them in your lap, then boom, your watch is right there ready.
It's right there.
Go for the chin scratch. Just look down, look at the watch.
Well, see, I want to be a under wrister.
Just try it.
We're going to find a different name. No, I have tried it.
I don't know if there's an actual name for it. There's got to be.
Is there a name for it?
I have no idea.
We'll find out later.
Here, but
I did used to wear it like that until I started wearing a smartwatch.
Yeah.
That's the one problem. Okay, good. My camera still has battery. That's the one problem I feel with that, is that the watch is more prone to taking damage.
I agree with that.
So that's why I
And
stopped it.
the reason I don't like it is for the sole purpose of when I put my wrist down, I feel it. I feel the, what is this called? The bevel, the face. I feel the face on my wrist. I don't feel it when it's like this.
Yeah, so I do have to switch it. So like when I'm counseling, I've started wearing it like this, but whenever I'm writing out my case notes from then, I'm left-handed, and so I have to switch it over because if I'm writing, like it was like almost like doing Morse code, like tick 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 tick, and just I
How
just
come
couldn't
you don't
do it.
do right wrist?
I don't know. It just feels good.
I feel
It's
like
where it
that's one of
goes.
those things where, like, even if you're lefty, it's a 50-50 on whether you go right wrist or
Mm-hmm.
left wrist.
I'm right-wristed. I'm right-handed.
Your right wrist and your right hand.
You are a right wrister.
I
I've
tried
never
wearing
heard of
it
that.
over here once I got the raw spot, and I was like, I can't do
Feels
that.
weird.
And so then I just said, let's try under,
Yeah.
and it's worked great.
I had the Whoop band forever, and so I had watch on one, Whoop on the other, and it's amazing how many people called me out for wearing two watches. And I'm like,
It's a little extra.
but there's no screen.
You still have a tan.
I have a good tan.
Yeah.
I've recently gotten rid of it. It's still at my house. I've
Your
chosen
tan?
no the Whoop strap.
Oh, okay.
I've chosen to take a week or so off just to see how I feel about it, because I've worn it for over like 4 years.
It's like that guy with two phones, like just a little extra.
You have two phones, 100%.
Yes.
You
I
have
do.
a
you
weekend
caught
phone.
you
Yeah,
caught me.
that's what I figured.
You caught me.
All right. Well, I'm glad we solved that. Was that the extra information that you wanted to talk about regarding the watch?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, perfect. All right, Christopher. Can't say that. Take 3 seconds or 3 hours. Tell us who you are, where you came from, what you do, all the things, and we'll rabbit trail as we see fit.
Yeah, so the 3-hour intro to that is so I'm Chris White, excited to be here, and I am married to Kayla. We have 3 beautiful children. We've got Grayson, who is 6, 6.5. We've got Madeline, who is 3, turning 4 in January.
Yes, she is.
We've got Olivia, who is 2, turning
Call her Madeline.
Madeline. We've got
You've never called her that.
So her name is Madeline K. White. So
Right.
sometimes we call her Madeline. Sometimes it's Maddie K. Sometimes it's MK.
Okay.
So
I've
she's
only
got.
heard Maddie K.
Usually
That's
it's
why it threw
Maddie
me.
K.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to be official here.
I'm sorry.
Give
Please
out the real name.
Please continue.
And then we have Olivia, who is 2, turning 3 in February. So Maddie K and Olivia are. See, now you got me wanting to say how you normally say it.
Just be
They
yourself.
are.
You don't have to be official.
They're a year and 2 weeks apart, which is fun.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, which is fun. So, and it's funny because they're starting to get to they're at the age where you can't do one for one without doing the other. And so like today was pajama day for Maddie K at school or at her day program, and not for Olivia. But you better believe they both wore pajamas today.
Yeah, because they're in different grades, but age wise, they're just so close.
Yeah, they're in different. So they're in different parts of the church that we have them in. And so they kind of do different things. But Olivia was not about to let her sister have
on
the pajamas.
Sunday we had they called it something, but it was basically wear your costume to church.
Yeah.
But it was only for preschool, and so Cannon, we got the email. I don't think Cannon's like 2 and change. I don't think he's considered in preschool yet. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he got the email, and so he was wearing a costume. And so Cash, the 6-year-old or 5-year-old who is officially out of preschool, there was no way that he was not wearing a Paw Patrol costume.
Absolutely.
And so he was like the only kid in the children's ministry area wearing a costume. And at first I was like, is he going to get embarrassed or is he going to? And no, he was like, I get to dress up. Look at these other fools who aren't dressing up. They need to take what's the word? Initiative.
Yeah. Yeah. Olivia's the only one today wearing in her class wearing pajamas. And of course, it's the dad bringing them. It's like, what a loser,
Well, we think that for other things, not for that.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Please continue. Sorry, we've already rabbit trailed.
That's it. Kayla and I have been married for 8 years. It's going to be 9 years next May, and she's a therapist in the area, and I am in school to be a therapist, and so I graduate in December. I'm a counseling intern at Summit Counseling downtown, connected with First Jackson. And so I'm getting my hours there and trying to graduate.
Yeah. We will go into more detail about that.
Sure.
Where'd you come from?
Texas is home. Born and raised. Deep East Texas. So if you drew a triangle between Dallas, Houston, and then Shreveport, I guess that looks right on the camera. I looked at you, and then I'm looking at the camera, and I don't think it looks good.
He was looking right at Steven. Steven was giving him nothing. Steven was looking at him like he was two kinds of stupid.
I'm not a geography person. You're just
East Texas. This side of Texas.
The interesting thing
this
about
side of Texas.
The interesting thing that I've found about Texas is people from Texas are generally very excited to be from Texas, which is understandable. I'm excited to be from Mississippi. But what's interesting about Texas is the regions are so strong in Texas. Like the people from East Texas, you're from East Texas.
Yeah.
If you're from West Texas, it's like you're a completely different
different person.
And then like I know people from DFW and they're holding strong. And then South Texas, I don't really know a lot of people from North Texas, but I would assume you're very excited to be from North Texas.
You could have 4 different states. You really could.
Oh, yeah.
You could have 4 different states. I don't know what you'd call them, but
ET, WT, ST.
That's lame. Yeah.
I bet you Dallas, DFW, you could just call that Dallas and it could be a state, just right in the middle.
Yeah. I like Dallas.
Of course, people from Fort Worth would hate that because people from Fort Worth are like, we don't live in Dallas. We live in Fort Worth.
But it's Dallas, Fort Worth to literally everybody else in the world.
I'm just telling you, we have family that's in Fort Worth.
Oh, they feel very strongly about it.
They feel very strongly about it.
They can get over it. I hope they listen to this podcast.
They will,
and know that an East Texas boy said,
says, "Get over
it." Yeah, get over yourself.
I mean, you basically just lived in Arkansas. I mean, that's really what it was.
Okay, I think my time on this podcast is over. Yeah.
So Lufkin, we didn't say that, but I know because we're friends.
Yeah, that's right. Lufkin, just a good little city in the central, in the middle of East Texas, about 35,000 people. So, really one of the biggest cities in the area. And so, moved to Lufkin when I was in 7th grade. Lived about 40 minutes away. 40 minutes away before that, in just a tiny little, the community was so small. Get this, they just got, I'll say that in a second. So
what a tease.
The center of there's like a crossing with the highway, but only is such a small community that only one way gets a stop sign.
Oh.
Can't afford 4 stop signs, because it's a lot. And so, always growing up, it's just, if you're on 357 or whatever, you just go straight.
Yeah.
If you're coming this way, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Well, they just added stop signs to the other way. And it on Facebook, there's no tickets, there's no cops out there. You might see a game warden every now and then, but Facebook blew up.
They're like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, all 25 people were very upset about, literally it was every day somebody was like, y'all watch out, there's 4 stop signs now, don't blow through them, which is a good thing, you want to know. But it's a very tiny community. You just keep going straight to get to my house until the road turns into a blacktop, and then the blacktop turns into a red dirt, and we're surrounded by cow pastures and homeschooled.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It was great. It was great. I'd get done at 12 o'clock with my school, and I would spend the rest of the day fishing in the cow ponds, walking around the pastures.
When you were done with your school for the day?
I was never done at 12. My mom wouldn't let me be done by 12.
That's the only good part about being homeschooled is you only had half-day school.
Poor innocent Logan. You don't understand.
What did you do all day?
Work, it sounds like.
Yeah, I did schoolwork every single day. I had every single subject every single day. I had to do a lot of extra. I got worked like a dog in homeschool.
So what was y'all's typical hours with doing?
8 o'clock to 11 for a lunch break, then 1 to 3 usually.
That's pretty normal. Yeah, it's just normal.
Yeah.
Just occasionally, every now and then, several times a week, we would get done around that 12 o'clock mark.
But you realize if it's several times a week, that's like 2/3 of your time.
Yeah, but then sometimes you're doing school on Saturday, Sunday. It's just not Sunday. We weren't allowed to do school on Saturday.
That never happened for us. We never pushed it into the weekend. I will. I will give them that.
Yeah, give your parents some credit here. Okay,
I mean, I turned out
the grass is not
decent.
always greener on the other homeschool house.
Well,
I take great pride in being homeschooled. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
It was a big blessing.
Then you went to good old Lufkin
Lufkin
High School.
Yep. That was it.
Home of the
Panthers.
Tomcats. Oh, okay.
Okay. Whoa. That was another school.
There was a school with the Tomcats?
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know it.
Okay.
But
I've been doing this thing lately. I've been trying to guess people's high school mascots. And so far, I'm over 2.
yeah, don't get it twisted. That's not. Yeah, we're the
Yep.
Panthers.
So, Chris, the Black Panther. You're doing great. Well, good deal. Let's see. So we know each other because of seminary,
That's right.
and so you start. Oh no, we know each other because of the wedding.
That's right. Well, I never met you.
That's true. So Stephen, I was at Chris and Kayla's wedding, having no idea who Chris and Kayla were.
I'm pretty sure I saw him fall asleep.
Why?
That's not true. I didn't fall asleep. I almost fell asleep at another First Baptist Jackson wedding, and I was in that wedding.
Shh, just stop. Just stop.
You think
You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
from the FBJ people?
Well, just whoever.
I know. I'll tell that story in a second. So Megan and Kayla are childhood friends. They both were at Macomb together. Their fathers worked at the same church together. Michaela.
Wow,
I
you
know.
owe her an apology.
I do. Kayla is like 4 years older than Megan, right? She's 3 years older than us, right?
Is Megan our age?
Megan's a year younger than us.
Then 4 years
Yeah.
older than Megan. Yeah.
And so me and Megan, what year did y'all get married?
15.
So we were dating, and Megan was like, hey, go to this wedding. And it was the first time I'd ever been to First Baptist Jackson. It was the first time I'd even really met any of the Macomb people, which I didn't really meet them. But so we walk in, and I'd never been in First Baptist Jackson. And so first I'm looking around, I'm like, this is a giant sanctuary. Have you ever been to First Baptist Jackson Sanctuary?
Nope.
It's very big. It's very brown wooden, but the way that it works, so if you would be used to kind of our Pine Lake Broadmoor sanctuaries that kind of fan, it's more like semicircle stadium seating. First Baptist Jackson's has some of that, but then it also goes straight back for like a mile.
It's very deep.
So you can, if you're sitting in the back row of the back section, it feels like you're a mile away from the stage. And that's just how they did it back then.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around, I'm like, this is crazy. And so we sit kind of midway. We've got all these people that I have no idea who they are. We've got the wedding party. I have no idea who they are. And I'm like, this is great. It's a little wedding. And then fast forward like a year later, I'm like, I know you. I was at your wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did seminary at the Mississippi College Extension Center with New Orleans there.
Which was great.
It was great. It was great. We've got some amazing stories. We could have a 3-hour podcast just off of those stories.
If we ever get Ford back in here to do a threesome podcast, a triple pod,
it would be
a
barn burner.
We have some great stories that we could tell that would probably insult some people, but it'll be fine. I was talking to someone the other day who was talking about seminary, and they went in like on campus to they may have gone to New Orleans. And I said, look, going to the Extension Center was fantastic for me because I got to have a full-time job, which you can do at the seminary, but it was easier to do here. I got to stay where I wanted to be, which was local, and I met so many youth pastors and pastors that we hung out with once a week. I met some youth pastors that I didn't want to hang out with ever again, but we met a lot of people that like we still have relationships with.
Yeah.
And so what was your overall experience of Extension Center Seminary?
Yeah, so I did the piece of it that y'all didn't really care to do, and that was I did a lot of intensives.
Yes.
There on campus. So I enjoyed being at the Extension Center, but I also enjoyed very much going and doing the week-long intensives. And so like in January, they have a Defend the Faith conference. And if you go and sit all week at Defend the Faith and listen to the apologetics and all of that good stuff, you're enrolled in 1, 2, or 3 classes. You can then write papers based off of everything you learned and get credit for it. Every May they hold intensives, and so you go, you sit in a class for a week. I think I did Old Testament that way, maybe. No, I did Old Testament online. I did something intensive, but you go and sit for a week and you learn and you write papers and you do presentation or whatnot, and they give you credit. And I really enjoyed getting to go down and be on campus for those weeks.
Yeah.
They were good.
I never did that.
I tried to get you to do it, but it's okay. You just didn't want to do it.
Well, when we started, it used to be you had to do intensives because you had to have at least 30 hours of on-campus classes. And so one of the things was you just had to go down there. But our year was the first year you could do a fully online or fully extension center seminary. And so, that was great for me because leaving Megan for a week or leaving Megan and Cash for a week was difficult. The other part of it is I hate New Orleans. It's my least favorite city I've ever been to in terms of like major metropolises.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's a shame. It's terrible.
Yeah, I enjoyed at least once a week when I would go to the intensives, I would go downtown and I would eat beignets. And
you waited in line for 2 hours?
It was great. Great. Look at the big rats that run next to you while you're eating your beignet.
It smells.
It smells wonderful.
Dirty.
Just beautiful. Yeah. I enjoyed getting to visit and go and have that experience.
You're much more missional than I am. That's probably what it is.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you can take out or put in as much information as you want to in this. How did you get from seminary to now your counseling?
All right. So in 2015, spring of 2015, I started seminary and went to go be the student pastor at First Cleveland. Did that for a couple of years and came to Highland Colony Baptist Church in Ridgeland, right off of Highland Colony Parkway, and did that. And then after that couple of years, went to Birmingham to serve at Dawson Memorial Baptist Church. Shout out to all those wonderful churches. But then at Dawson, COVID happened. I was doing some extra schoolwork then as well, working on a PhD, and I think I just got burned out. I just put so much on my plate, and also realized that maybe student ministry is not what I was particularly gifted at and loved. And we've talked about that, how my giftings and my passion would be more suited to like senior adult ministry, because I still have that Branson trip planned.
Chris is actually 87 years old on the inside.
Pretty close.
You would love nothing more than to like go to Cracker Barrel, get black coffee,
100%,
maybe eat half a pancake,
100%,
and then sit on the front porch and just hang out with people.
So when I was in college, in a community college back home in Lufkin, on Tuesdays, the group of older men at our church would all hang out at night, do potluck. Their wives would cook for them and play 42, which is a dominoes game. Okay. And so I would go hang out with them and drink coffee and play 42. And it was good food too. Yeah. And so I loved it. And so,
but we used to be like, Chris would be planning like a dodgeball event or like some kind of student ministry focused thing. And we were like, Chris, just go do senior adult ministry. Yeah. Take the people to Branson. Go have a good time.
It's a dream. It just wasn't my gifting, and that's okay. And we realized that and learned that. And COVID probably accelerated that process, and so which was tough at the time, but okay. And so left, came back here in 2020. Came back here, started working at a bank because Dr. Ron Mumbauer was counseling us just through that transition. And he said, don't feel the pressure to jump right back into a church because that's literally where all of your degrees and everything is in. Just don't feel that pressure, no pressure. Yeah. But so we did that and jumped into a bank for a year and a half. And finally, Kayla and I we were driving home. We were visiting First Baptist Flora. Shout out to Pastor John Daniels. We love you, John.
His son Russ has been on the podcast.
Yeah, he has. That's right. And I'm sure he's listening. We loved being there at First Floor under his preaching. But we were driving back, and we were talking just about the bank and working and ministry and all of this good stuff, talking through what I enjoyed about ministry and what I didn't. And then I brought up counseling, which we had joked about before. And it's like, that's just the part about student ministry that I really loved the most, was not the events, not any of that stuff, but just getting to sit down and talk one-on-one and getting to hear people's story. And she basically, along the lines, just said, well, why don't you just shut up and do it?
Which is my favorite.
And so, just shut up and do it. And just, Nike, but like a little bit of twist on it. And so I literally applied to Liberty University's master's counseling program like 2 days later and started the classes 2 weeks later. And here we are, about to graduate. So
when do you graduate?
December.
So this is the part that I didn't have a lot of experience, but knowing you and Kayla, and right when we started hanging out was when Kayla was going through stuff. Counseling, getting to be like a non-counselor through education to being a full-fledged licensed counselor is a lot more. It's not complicated, but it's more in depth than probably a lot of people think it is. So walk us through that.
Yeah, there's a lot of filters, and the barrier to entry is pretty high, and I think that's a good reason for it. Especially having gone through that, I think obviously agree with it full. So you got to get the degree, you got to have a master's degree that's related to the field, and then once you get that degree, you can apply to become a PLPC, which is a provisionally licensed professional counselor. And so while you're provisionally licensed, you've got to get 3,000 hours under a supervisor. 1,300 of those are direct. Roughly 1,300 are like face to face, and then the other is just whatever administrative work.
I mean, but just think about that, like 3,000 hours.
Yeah, it takes most people about 2.5, 3 years.
That's crazy. I mean, it's one of these where that's crazy, and it is. We can say that it's crazy.
But you want that.
You also don't want Uncle Jimmy telling you who knows what, sitting across from you.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do. Who knows?
No, you probably don't.
I don't.
No, you don't. You don't.
That's so funny.
Good for encouragement, not good for counseling.
Yes.
Sometimes not good for encouragement, depending on who Uncle Jimmy is.
Counseling has been really good for me for a couple of different things. One, for me, it's been helpful because I can just get things out and talk through things. And one of the things that my counselor has done that I've really appreciated is what I try to do is when I'm talking to him, I try to say the words that come to mind and how I feel about things, but at the same time, I'm trying to be really very careful about the words that I'm saying because I want to say accurately what I'm feeling. Because what he's done a lot is I'll just talk for forever, which is probably like 10 minutes, but I'll just word vomit everywhere. And then at the end of it, he'll say, "Hey, you said like you feel this way about this. Why do you feel that?" And it's just so interesting how a lot of what it is for me is him just kind of taking things and picking things out and saying like, "Okay, you said that you feel this way about it, or you described so and so as this. Like, why do you feel that way?" And that's kind of how a lot of how me and him will unpack things. Is just like him listening to the words that I'm saying and then saying like, "Why did you say that? Why do you feel that way?"
Yeah, got to know where to poke, got to know where to prod, got to know when to poke and prod and when not to, and where not to.
Yes,
you just got to, it's interesting.
We've talked about that before. How there was a time where, like, we were going and we were probably the first session that I met with him. I was talking the whole time, and he was listening and kind of trying to clarify some things. And at the end of it, he actually had a little whiteboard. And he was like, "All right, so this is how you feel," and he just wrote it all down. And I was like, "I think so." And we did that the first and second time, or the second and third time. He kind of gave some practical things that can kind of help me, like as I'm leaving, to kind of work through things. And then the fourth time, we were talking and chatting, and I was talking about something or complaining, and he said, "So you do know, you believe that God is in control, right?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "You know that you're not in control. Are you going to let God be God, or are you going to continue to be God?" And I was like,
"Yeah," called you out.
I was like, "No, I'm not going to be God." And yes, and it was great. I needed that, but there's that time where like you just stick a dagger.
Go for the throat.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that. I've done that once or twice, and it can definitely be nerve-wracking. Setting down that hard challenge.
Right.
But he's not going to do that the first session either.
No. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe I was the outlier. Maybe every other one, he's like, "Hey, stupid."
Yeah, I doubt that. Yeah, I doubt that.
The other part about counseling that's been great for me is realizing that I have no idea how I feel about things as a dude, but also just as Logan. For me, it's like, how do you feel? I either feel happy or sad or bad.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? It's like, I just feel like just bad.
Yeah.
And so we would straight up bring out like the feelings chart or the feelings wheel and just say like, okay, let's just walk through this. Like, you feel bad. What does that mean? Are you worried? Are you anxious? Are you angry? And then out of that, and the interesting part of that has been, sometimes the way that we've done it is like a feelings wheel, which is like you have a central wheel and it's got 4 or so, then a secondary layer that's got maybe, I don't know, 16 or something. And then on top of that, it's got a bunch. But what I'll do is sometimes now is I'll look through the wheel and it'll say something like, I feel sad, worried, despair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't feel despair. But what I do feel is blank. Like the first 2 are correct, but the third is not.
Yeah.
But since I've worked all the way down, I can really pinpoint what I'm feeling or not feeling.
Yeah, I've used the wheel a lot, the feelings wheel. I've got a colleague who has a pillow, actually, and it's great because it doubles as decoration, comfort, and then also a feelings wheel. And so, and I think, to your point, I feel like a lot of that is a guy thing of not necessarily having this vocabulary for how we feel. And so, you've got the 5 and it's, mad, sad, happy, something. Okay, well, what does sad mean? Because sad could mean, like you said, sad could mean 8 different things. And then that could mean 16 different things. Mm-hmm. And so let's nail down exactly. And I've used the feelings wheel before where somebody couldn't get past sad. And I said, hold on one second. And I ran to the other room and grabbed the pillow and brought it back. And then it just opened up the entire session, which was really cool because they were able to, just kind of gain that vocabulary of, oh, this is how I really feel.
And that was me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was me. And it's great. The best part now is that because Megan has no issue with that. Megan can tell you exactly how she feels. Yeah. She has 100 feelings to choose from, and she'll tell you exactly. But she would get so frustrated because she was like, you've got to talk to me. And I'm like, I am. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And now it's funny because sometimes I can process things either verbally or I can think pretty quickly. But when I'm dealing with like how I'm emotionally feeling, there'll be times where I'm like, I need you to go away, and I can think about how I'm feeling for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we can come back. And usually she's a little less frustrated or angry, and I'm a little less frustrated or angry. But I'm able to say, okay, I've worked through it. I'm feeling this way because of this, which comes from this. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, timeouts are magical. We timeouts all the time.
Our premarital counselor, who's the same as my counselor now, he called it being flooded. Mm-hmm. Like you flood a carburetor.
Yep.
He says when you're flooded, very little beneficial things happen. You need to let that gas drain out, get not flooded, and then come back. And we do that, 1 out of 10.
As needed. Yeah.
The other 9, we're flooded and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, we can't, we're not doing this right now.
Well, you also just use the language that you're supposed to use, which is the I feel, which is, another technique of don't blame, but, instead of you did this, but, well, I feel frustrated because.
Are we including this as hours for you? Because
we're
we
not.
Could get into it.
No, we're not.
I'll tell you everything that's wrong with me. Steven can wear earmuffs. We can just get at it.
Why are you going to make him wear earmuffs if this thing's going?
It's all about how I feel. Okay.
I still have to edit this.
That'd be fun.
Or to watch it, at least.
I have deep, dark feelings about Steven that I just really need to unearth.
Well, maybe we should do couples counseling. I do couples counseling all the time. Some of the hardest, actually.
You made
the couples counseling.
You made a comment to me, I guess it was like a year ago, about couples, or maybe it was Kayla. It was one of y'all said the issue with couples counseling is that they come in, I call it redlining. Like they come in when it's like, if we don't figure this out by next week, we're getting a divorce. Yeah. And you're like, if you would have come in 3 years ago, it would be a whole different story. Was that you that said that?
I've said that before. I don't know if I've said that to you. I know I've maybe said that to you that she's told me.
Probably.
But, it's just kind of like, yeah. So that's the big lesson from this podcast, that if get to it early.
Yes.
Get to it early.
Now, Kayla she's fully licensed.
She's fully licensed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's been doing it for a while. Like for me, if you are a female and you come to me talking about counseling, I'm going to say, go see Kayla.
We appreciate that.
And now, I'm trying to put money in your
that's
account. But really, it's been helpful because obviously doing students, we've had girls that everything from like moderate to severe to like, hey, I don't have anyone to talk to. All of those I've said, look, here's some different options. I would recommend Kayla because Kayla's just been fantastic at it. And she's kind of built up her whole, I would say a lot of her counseling is kind of focused on girls and women.
Yeah, she's developed that.
I think she's great. And
I think so too. Just for the record.
I feel like the way that I feel that she's great and the way that you feel that she's great
a little different.
Are a little different.
Well, we're talking about counseling, so it's okay.
That's true. In that way, it's the same.
Yeah.
We brought Kayla in for a D now to talk, which
That's
was
right.
which was crazy. Me and her, we were hanging out. What was that? A week ago.
Yes.
And I was talking to her because she was giving me feedback, which is so Kayla, to give me feedback on how it went. And I was like, look, we threw you to the wolves. Because what we did is we had, in our great insight, we said, look, we don't want to throw 700 students at D now at Kayla, so we'll split it up.
Yeah.
And so we'll do 350 high schoolers and then 350 middle schoolers in a room with Kayla. Like, that'll be better.
That's still a lot.
Was she the sanctuary?
Yes.
I watched that happen.
She handled it great.
She did.
You noticed that she waited 9 months though to tell you. As I was saying, hey, write the dude an email right now, like like Sunday night after D now.
I'm pretty sure she told me immediately, but it was in like oh yeah, it was great, but it could have been a little better. And I'm like, it was rough.
Yeah.
She handled it great with the high school, this is the most Kayla thing ever. She had all these girls that wanted to like be counseled immediately. And she was like, I can't do it immediately. And I was like, we should have come up with some kind of pipeline to get them into conversation later, which we didn't. But then the worst of the worst was we gave her 300 middle schoolers in a sanctuary who have not done anything all day but sit in a chair.
Yep.
And we said, hey, do something fruitful with this.
Yep.
And it was crazy.
Did you know that I lost kids that D now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I was
the first time I saw you was at dodgeball, and you walked in, and I was pumped to see you. But then I was like, "You're not supposed to be here." And you said, "I don't know where any of my kids are."
So
that's where I recognize you.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You were in the booth next to him. So we were. I was driving.
You were a host home for Broadmoor.
No, we weren't a host home. We were just driving for one of the host homes. No, we were just driving, and because we've got the van, it's like we can serve in this way. And so I come back, I pick them up, and I take them here. It's like I'll be here after the service, and so I come back and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I realize they're not coming back, and I've never seen any of these kids except for just once because we don't typically serve in that ministry, and so I don't know if they've walked out. I don't know. Well, so I'm all over Ridgecrest looking for these kids. I'm talking to, like Richard and all those guys who are kind of over Broadmoor Ministries.
He
and
only knows Richard's name. That's really embarrassing.
What?
You just said Richard and
Richard.
Guys.
Richard, yeah. He's bald. Richard, shout out. Nice beard. Really nice beard. Anyways, so I'm like, dude, can't find the kids. And he can't get a hold of the leaders. And so it turns out they had taken the 7 middle school boys that I had in my van and had shoved them into like a Ford Focus and then a Ford truck. And those vehicles were already somewhat full. And they just went back to the host home, stacked. In those vehicles.
Slightly illegally.
And when he found that out, I was standing there, and he just got off the phone and turned to whoever and just sighed and said, I got to go have a conversation or something along those lines of you can't do this.
Yeah.
And
hey, college leader.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do this. When you've got a minivan, you have a Honda Odyssey waiting on you.
Yeah, ready to go.
Locked and loaded.
I also hit a deer. On the way to pick them up, too.
I remember.
I still haven't fixed the car from that.
Of course. Why would you do that?
I stopped and looked for the deer, though. I couldn't find it.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, no, it was sad.
Let's just say you probably bodied it, and so the meat was probably terrible.
Oh, I bodied it. All right. It was not the biggest deer, and it flew.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that Odyssey doesn't play.
No, that's a lot of mass just
It
coming at
is,
you.
yeah. I couldn't do nothing. My son was with me too. He was,
Did he
like-
freak out?
yeah, he kind of realized what had happened. So.
Cash would have freaked out.
Yeah.
Cash would have been like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, Kayla ran over a squirrel the other day in her parents' neighborhood, and Grayson made her turn back around and to see if it was okay. I think, and
it
he was
wasn't okay.
he was very upset.
The
he was
thing
very
about
upset.
hitting squirrels is that you hear the pop. Like when you run over it, you hear the crunch.
You
and the
know
pop.
when it's
Yes.
gone to the big acorn tree in the sky. It's,
Well, they don't go there because they don't have souls, but that's fine.
we can talk about that on another podcast.
I have had multiple fun conversations about dogs and where they go.
It's
when
student
they die.
ministry. You got to.
Yeah, it's
There's a
good time.
movie about that.
and I reference that movie. But kids nowadays don't know
It's
that.
pretty blunt. The name of the movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven. That's
Oh, we're going there. Okay.
All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 is a much better film than the first one, in my
Is it?
opinion.
I've never watched either one of
It's
them.
much
I'd
better.
stay away from those
The first one's old.
teachings.
The first
I-
one's old.
I have not seen those movies in probably 2 decades.
All Dogs Go to
They're
Heaven
old.
2 is much
They're
better,
old.
in my opinion. But they don't.
If you want that out in your podcast, that's fine. I'm not saying it.
I mean, I already said it. That's fine. I think now, unless there's anything else you want to say about counseling,
Do it.
I think now we're going to move
Yeah.
to ad read. Steven, you excited? You ready?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
This week, we have our Chat GPT powered ad, which is about our women's ministry. Go ahead and applaud.
Did you share this to me?
It's on the Evernote, which should be shared to you.
I love Evernote. Y'all had a conversation about this the other
I
day,
hate
but
Evernote.
I
Thank
used to
you.
use it all the
It
time.
doesn't work the way he's trying to make it.
So when
work.
we were in preaching class, Dr. David Eldridge was like, I use Evernote for everything and I love it. And I think that's probably when I started using it, and you too as well,
No,
maybe.
I was using it beforehand.
Oh, so you
I was an early adopter.
were before him.
Well,
I hope he listens to this.
he said that he loved it at that moment, but he'd been using it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
I can probably look on here and tell you. It'll probably tell me how long I've been here, how long I've been a person involved with Evernote. Member since February 22nd, 2013. I got receipts.
Yeah, because we took that class in 16, so that was way before me.
Yeah. I just turned on Spotify like an idiot. All right, here we go. Do you have it?
What do you think? I'm trying.
So if you're unaware, the way that we do this is we have ChatGPT come up with an ad. I'm saying it for them, not for you. I'm just looking at you. We have ChatGPT come up with an ad. We read it. It's about our ministries of our church. This week is about our women's ministry. Stephen, I went ahead and took out the uplifting music portion, but you can still add it if you would like to.
We'll see how this goes.
Do you
I think I nailed it this week.
I thought it was fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
listened to it. I thought it was great.
Appreciate that.
So once again, if we try anything, if there's anything that's said in the ad that upsets you as a woman or a man, and you feel like it doesn't adequately construe our women's ministry, well, one, I'm so sorry, and two, ChatGPT came up with it. So, Stephen, I think the only thing that you're gonna do, it says hear from women whose lives have been transformed, but there's only one like blurb.
Okay.
So you're going to be the woman
Hear,
who's
hear
giving
from
the blurb.
woman.
Hear from woman, but I'll say women because
Okay.
it flows better.
I'm not gonna do a woman's voice.
That's fine. That'll be funnier.
Okay.
I mean, unless you have a really bad women's.
I'm sure I
Voice.
do, but again, I'm not here to put myself on blast. You know.
Okay, well that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're gonna do, are you still pulling it up? I mean, we're gonna be here all day.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So here we go. Chris, I have nothing for you to
Mhm.
read.
That's
so
fine.
you just get to embrace your inner woman in this ministry
Okay,
context.
I will listen.
All right. And cue music.
If there is music.
If there's music.
If there's music.
Introducing Ridgecrest Women's Ministry, a sanctuary of strength, faith, and community for women of all walks of life. Are you seeking a place to connect with like-hearted women, to grow spiritually, and to find support on your journey? Look no further. At Ridgecrest Women's Ministry, we believe that every woman is a unique and valued creation. Join us for empowering events, soul-nourishing workshops. That does sound like a women's ministry thing. Heartwarming fellowship. It's an uplifting experience that's sure to bring a smile to your face. Hear from women whose lives have been transformed by this incredible community.
Ridgecrest Women's Ministry gave me the courage to step into purpose and into my purpose and embrace my true self. The support and love here are like no other.
Whether you're a mother, a career woman, a student, or a retiree, there's a place for you here. Discover your potential, find your voice, and forge lifelong friendships. It's time to add a touch of positivity to your life. That was nice. That felt good. Join us at Ridgecrest Women's Ministry, where faith becomes action and where together we rise. Visit our website.
Sounds like a threat.
We rise.
The energy changed in that ad read from just like, oh yeah, come be a part of this, to together we rise. Like
faith becomes action and together.
It just sounded like it suddenly shifted into something else.
The picture that pops up is from, the Mockingjay.
Yes.
From Hunger Games. Yeah. I agree with you,
or
Stephen.
like we ride at dawn, like kind of.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Both and.
Yeah.
Women's ministry. Visit our website at ridgecrest.net to learn more and to be a part of this extraordinary sisterhood. I love that. Ridgecrest Women's Ministry. Here's a tag. They always give a tagline for each ministry. I'm all here for it. Ridgecrest Women's Ministry, where women thrive. Come for the camaraderie, stay for the inspiration.
I feel like that one had like 3 canned slogans.
It had a lot in there.
Yeah.
I think ChatGPT did not know what to do with women's ministry.
It didn't.
It knew what to do with students and seniors.
I think now that we know that GPT,
yes,
I can never get it right. ChatGPT,
Chat KFC. Now that we know that it has things that it doesn't think it's supposed to write about. I think if you give it that classification and it's like, what do I do with this? Yes.
It has to be very neutral.
And I will say, I did try to put jokes in there about women, knowing full well that I was going to have to filter out the like inappropriate or not good. I was hoping for just a nice, funny women's joke, and it wouldn't do it. It said, we do not make jokes about specific groups, including women.
It did nail down those keywords, though. I mean, empowering, soul nourishing, heartwarming. Like those are things that you got to come.
Yeah.
Got to be a part of it.
Got to attend.
Yeah.
So come be a part of women's ministry. We won't be there, but you should. And we actually do have a women's ministry, which is helpful.
That was smooth.
What?
Just that little pitch.
I do this professionally. I mean, this is what I do. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm just here for the podcast.
That's exactly why
great.
You're here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you ready to move into the bag?
Sure, whenever you are, boss.
Tell me what you did last weekend.
So last weekend,
I didn't get to finish what I was saying.
Oh my gosh!
Tell me what you did last weekend, and then tell them why you're here.
I didn't know you were going to say. Tell them why you're here.
I really didn't know what I was going to say next.
I'm here.
You cut me off.
I was going to say that I'm here because you invited me, but really it was to meet Stephen. So that's been accomplished, and I'm thankful.
Nice to have
for
a fan. I've never had a fan before.
I'm a fan. He is a fan of the podcast. We probably have 3 to 4 to 5 every week are listening fans that text me and talk about the podcast.
Yeah, I listen to it when I drive.
Ford Rigney's not one of them.
Although I did forget that I had it on a 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is Steven talking? Why does he talk so fast? This is annoying. And then I realized that you're not just a fast, you kind of are already a little bit of a fast talker, but then it was really fast. And I realized it was it was me.
Yeah, I can have my bursts of quick talking.
It was all, me too.
Yeah.
But I was like, he's talking fast. He needs to slow it down. And then I realized I just needed to slow down my app. Anyways, so last weekend, we go to Broadmoor. We're members of Broadmoor, and some guys in our life group, we were
Neighbor church.
Hey, let's just let's do a mission trip on the Appalachian Trail. Appalachian Trail runs from Georgia to Maine, 20 200 miles, something like that, and probably one of the more popular hiking trails that people are going to go hike. One, because it's relatively accessible, and there's
you can just do different sections along the 22.
a lot of section hikers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would be considered section hikers because of how we did it. But then there's a lot of through hikers that either they're called nobos or sobos, and so the sobos are southbound and the nobos are northbound, and so a lot of people go to the trail because they're running from something or they're searching for something, and whether that's coming out of a tragedy, whether that's whatever, people are searching, and people are searching everywhere. But it's kind of like people are going to follow you. Don't get off the trail. If you get off the trail, you get in trouble. And so,
But do you feel like there's a higher concentration in this specific place?
yes, in Georgia because of the time of the year. Yeah. So we just wanted to go and see what we can do to basically explore this opportunity and to serve people. And so there were two of us that were on the hike crew. That was me and Adam Welch. Shout out to Adam. And then the feed crew was Chase Booth, Alan McGehee, and then a friend named Grayson, who we picked up in Atlanta, who has Broadmoor connections. Shout out to all you fine folks. And so we went, they fed, we hiked, and talked to people about Jesus. And so they were able to reach 35 to 45 people, feeding them. You just serve whatever you want to, but people are really thankful. So we had brownies, water. Water is big because the trails are really dry right now because they have the same drought that we do. Yeah. Most people drink off the trail, filter your water. So water was a big one. Hamburgers, flapjacks, as one gentleman told us about. Hey, there's a group cooking flapjacks down if y'all keep walking. And so pancakes.
What do they say in Texas? I feel like Texas.
We called them pancakes.
Gosh,
growing up.
I bet you
is
in
what we
West
did.
Texas they don't.
Well, you know what? I'll just keep talking about the trail. So just serving people. And then Adam and I on the hike, our goal was to stop at the shelters. So it's not set, but every 10, 15 miles, there's an actual shelter where it's basically a 3-walled lean-to. And so people use those for sleeping, and some people use them for hanging out. We didn't sleep in them. We hung out and
some
slept
use
in our...
them for murdering people.
Well, we'll get to that story. We'll get to that story in a second. Oh, Herman. And so, so that's what we did the first night. So Friday, we got out of the car and we took off and hiked and stayed at a shelter, Trey Mountain Shelter. And first hike almost killed us because it was like you get out of the car and you're straight up. Because usually you put in at a gap and you hike to the vistas, and it's just a lot of this. And so...
and yours was just a lot of this.
If you look at a slope rating on a map, it's a lot of red, and red means dead. And so green is go. And so there was a lot of red that first day. And we got there, got to talk to some guys who were open and willing to hang out by the campfire and talk about Jesus and just some stuff going on in their life. And so we were able to do that. The second day, we hiked to a different shelter, and when we showed up, there was a gentleman had his hoodie on, had his gaiter on, so completely masked up, and standing like this in the corner of the shelter. And we didn't see him at first, and then we get up and like, oh, hey, what's your name?
Sounds like half our middle school boys, to be honest.
And just kind of lurking. And so middle school boys do lurk sometimes, don't they?
Big lurkers.
And so we kind of asked him, hey, what you doing? He didn't say anything, just kind of lurked and stared at us. And finally we got out of him that his name was Herman, and we decided to let Herman have the shelter and go camp by...
somewhere else.
Go camp by the water. And I was looking for a spot to put my tent. Adam had his spot, and he was like, hey, can you put your tent like right next to mine? Like, I feel better us not being, because it was a red flag. Like both of our radars just kind of went on full alert. Yes. And then some other guys showed up and were like, hey, Herman, can we sleep next to you? And like shared the shelter with him. And so we were thankful knowing that it wouldn't be us first.
Some people's radars just don't work.
I think you get used to the trail and the people that you meet on the trail. And Herman was not open to talking. I gave him my socks. Adam gave him some extra socks too.
Not off your feet though.
My nighttime socks. Yeah. So kind of. I was going to wear them at night.
But they weren't currently on your feet.
No, they were not
That's
currently
what I'm saying.
on my feet. They were going to be on my feet.
But they weren't used socks.
Oh, I'd worn them the night before, so they were used socks.
That just
And
means they were
so
stretched out a little bit.
yeah. And so we gave him some socks and helped in the ways that he was willing for us to help. But it was good. Yeah, it was. And then we hiked back, and they picked us up Sunday, and we came back.
It was a great. I mean, it sounds like it was a great trip.
It was a success. We would have called it a success just because of the amount of people we were able to talk to.
So is the plan to like do that yearly? Would it be to do it just kind of as you see fit?
I think the plan is yearly. We actually, Adam and I at the first shelter ran into some guys who do have a ministry called Benchmark. I think it's Benchmark Ministries out of Atlanta, and they do feeds every year. And so every year around March, April, mostly March, there's a big push of Nobos, people going northbound. And you start at Springer Mountain in Georgia, and the gap that we put in at Unicoi Gap is where a lot of people begin to drop out. And so, and it's like hundreds of people. And so these guys stop at Unicoi Gap and they feed people and they offer shakedowns. And what a shakedown is you take this bag. If you're doing a northbound, most people have, this is a 65 liter. Most people have 65 to 75, 85 liters or whatever. But dudes will pack this out to 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so what the shakedown does is, hey, buddy, you may not need this full cooking set that's weighing you down.
Right.
You may not need this. And
someone's bringing the whole Coleman 2 burner with them.
Exactly. And so the shakedown is supposed to just help people lighten their load. And then the goal is to help, hey, let's talk about other burdens that you may be carrying. I know somebody who can take that. And
the Lord.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's the plan. So, hey, Jesus. Jesus
we're
says,
talking about bridging gaps here.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
Peasy.
And so we made that connection. We will probably go in March and serve with them. I won't go in March. My spring's already pretty booked, but
tell them what you do.
Oh yeah, so we're going on a Disney cruise, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's not what I care about.
But I did win a Masters lottery, so I'm going. Kayla and I are going to a Friday round, and it's going to be wonderful.
Steven could talk to you more about Disney cruises. I think Disney is
the cruises are amazing.
I've never been on one, but we want to go.
Got to do the cruise.
Yeah.
The shows at night, just Broadway caliber. The food, I'm excited about the food. I'm telling you.
I hear it's really good for kids too.
It's great for kids. They got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff for kids. A lot of good options. The best crab legs I've ever had in my life was on that Disney cruise. You go to Red Lobster around here, you're not going to get a crab leg that is as big around as this trophy. But on that Disney cruise, I'm telling you, I still dream dreams about it.
And it's probably made in a lab somewhere that Disney made.
Well, let me tell
you. Genetically modified.
That mouse knows what he's doing.
That mouse sure can cook some crab.
That mouse can cook. Back to the trail. Any questions?
No, we're back to I want to talk about Augusta.
Oh yeah, Augusta. I'm pumped. I'm excited.
Steven has no clue what that means. Nope. And by Steven, I mean 90% of the people listening to this don't know the lottery system. They don't know what happens in Augusta. Maybe they do know what happens in Augusta. So what happens?
So for peasants like us,
yes,
in order to go to the Masters, you either have to have an invitation or you have to get lucky and get drawn for the ticket. And so there's a lottery draw once a year. You can win practice round tickets, and you get 4 tickets if you do practice rounds, or you can win a round ticket, and those are you get 2. And so we won Friday. I got Friday, so you get 2. You get 1 draw lottery per household. If they find out that you did 2 people delivering 2 per household, they'll ban you for life. If they find out you try to sell your tickets for a profit, they'll ban you for life. And they're very serious about it. And a lot of people put in and never win the draw. So the fact that this may be the last time I ever go, it's crazy to think about.
And I feel like a Friday round, that's a great time to go.
It's a good round. Yeah, it's a good round.
I mean, obviously, last round
Sunday
championship, that's great. But if you're not going to do the Sunday round, Friday when they're all starting, it's fresh. You don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody's gotten cut, so you can see everybody.
Yes.
Yep.
Which will be good. So you'll be there before Jordan Spieth gets cut.
Just gonna keep my mouth shut.
No, tell me. Are you? Is that?
I'm a Jordan fan. That's my guy. That's who I follow.
Someone you're going to watch?
Heavens, yes.
What?
That's who. We will not follow him the whole time, but we will.
We still have a few months. We may have you on again before March, but just it being October 26th, I wasn't looking at this to say like you should go. See what I'm saying? I was looking.
I
for the
felt
date.
that though because you did this. Not. I've already looked at my
I know.
watch 3 times
I
today
know.
during the session.
6 months out, 5 months out, if you had to put a place where Jordan Spieth's going to win, or where he's going to place in the Masters, where would you say?
So Jordan has historically played Augusta extremely, extremely well every year that he's played it. I think it's crazy not to, even if he didn't do it this last year. I can't remember what he placed this last year, but I mean, it's crazy not to bet him for the top 10. Just because he just plays it really well. And so like Jordan missing a cut at the Masters would be just
Shocking.
ridiculous. You know, it does happen. It does happen. Guys miss cuts all the time. It's a ridiculously hard sport.
Yep.
But I mean, I would consistently bet him for the top 10 every year. I would. And I feel like that's a safe bet.
Yeah. Who is there someone who's super hot this season so far? Like someone who's just really doing well consistently?
Oh gosh, let me think, because it's
I know.
all over
I
now.
just put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's all over now. It's been fun watching watching some of the live guys still play really well and win majors. Like I think 2 of the 4 majors went to guys who broke off and went to the live.
Really?
The other golf league.
Yeah.
And I mean, no, I don't know who's hot right now because they're not playing.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching.
Makes sense. All right. So what I thought we'd do, Stephen, letting you know, is that Chris could kind of go through his pack and say what he brought, and then maybe do like if you don't know what it is, explain what it is, and then if there's anything that you're like, I should not have brought this, I'm never taking it with me again, or if there's something that you were like, I sorely needed this and I didn't bring it, you could throw that in too.
Yeah, that sounds good. And all this, to throw out the disclaimer, I am not a trail master. Like
Yes.
I've done this several times, but the experience does help a little bit. And there's, I think most experience, like I think Tommy Lister would probably, I think he would be proud of my pack.
Oh, good.
I think he would be proud of my pack. And so, Tommy, if you listen, because Tommy has hiked the whole thing.
Yes.
And so, Tommy, if you listen and you disagree, just catch me outside of Broadmoor. We'll talk about
And
it.
for the sake of Tommy and other people, there are things on this setup that you were very open in saying, like, well, you'll get into this part, but like there are things that you borrowed, things that you if you were doing it again and you were 100% in, you would do some things differently.
Because we only did 5.7 Friday, Saturday we did 5.7 back, and then another 4.5 there. Because we really weren't hiking terribly too much, there were things that I added that weren't necessary, and we'll talk about that. So we'll start here on the outside. This is my water bottle. I have 2. Most people use Smart water bottles. They're better than the Nalgene because the Nalgene bottles really don't keep it any colder, and a lot of these are compatible with water systems, and so you can screw it in. A lot of people use a squeeze filter. A lot of people use a gravity filter, which is what I have, and they're super light.
Yeah.
And so this little bit in here is from the mountains of Georgia, from a stream.
There you go.
If you want to sip,
I don't.
Okay.
Because it's a little cloudy.
It does smell like Mio. Mio's a big thing, just because to give yourself something different. But I almost thought I was going to get eaten by a bear the last night because. It's like a strawberry flavored Mio, and I threw it in my tent, and then I jumped in my tent, and my knee hit it, and it went everywhere, and I smelled like a big strawberry. And so I said, Adam,
this is the night.
If you hear a bear, it's coming for me, because a thing there is like hanging your food, like you don't sleep with your food, anything, because the bears, they'll get you. And so we'll start here. This is my water. I won't get it out. But basically, it's a gravity water system. I think I've got the other pieces in here. But it's a gravity, and you just hang it, and then it has a tube and a filter. and it just filters the water right out, and it's really fast. If it's full, you can fill this 1 liter bottle up in just a minute. So it's really fast. It's also helpful having this because like our first water source was a drip. Like it took 45 minutes to fill this thing up. And so when you have this, you can crush it down and dig a hole and put it in the mud and leave this up high and just let it drip and go back to camp and hang out. And that's what I did.
And what a lot of people will do
get
if
it
you're
out.
not doing that is like you said, the squeeze system.
A lot of people use
where
squeeze
you have
filters.
like a liter size bag, like that's a
Yeah.
gallon bag.
Yep.
Hold it a little bit to the left.
A little bit to the left. Yeah.
There
So
you
this
go.
is it. You just hang it and then you screw that in. I've got to
Yeah.
clean it. But then you do that. And this is a popular system.
Yeah, I like it.
Here's my Mio that almost got me eaten.
Was almost the death of
Also,
you.
too, I had to get like I carried some wipes. I had to get like a wipes and like take a wipe bath with my legs because they were
Sticky.
Mio'd.
Yeah.
This is just simple. Everything goes. It's best to have everything in Ziplocs too, just because one, waterproof, two, just compartmentalization,
Yeah.
just separating it.
Because if you have a 65-liter pack that's just a dump ground,
Yeah.
you're never going to find anything.
Fire plugs, those are helpful. Lighters, helpful. This is a thing that a lot of people do is they'll just take, you don't want to take a whole roll of duct tape. That's ridiculous weight to carry. You really don't need much. People use these for anything. So you'll take a lighter, wrap it in duct tape, and you've got fire and steri strips if you need to close up a cut, tent repair if you need that. And I'm going to donate this to the Lost and Found.
Oh, look.
That's something that was going to just grow in my
Finally, someone
was something-
gets it.
I watched the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I know that.
Front and center.
There we go. And
There it is. See it.
toothbrush, toiletries, hot hands, because if it gets cold enough, I didn't need them. Floss, wipes. Some people get so dedicated to dropping weight that they'll take their toothbrushes and they will drill holes to reduce like the
'Cause ounces
shaving
equals
the
pounds.
grams that you lose there. And so the ultralights are big on that. This is the rest of the stuff from the water. I did carry purification tablets just in case. These you really don't taste it, especially if you put Mio in there. The tablets are fine. Rope.
Gotta have
You
rope.
never know when you need a good 75 feet of paracord, especially some of the shelters, most of the shelters have cables already for your food bags to hang up. And if it didn't, though, like a lot of the campsites don't. So there's shelters and campsites. And if you decide to stop at a campsite, you need something to hang
Yeah.
your bear bag with.
Before we get further, anything
Yeah.
specific about the actual pack?
We didn't need a pack this big. This is a 65 liter. If we do this a lot, I will eventually. This is Alan Mumbauer's. Shout out to Alan. Thanks for letting me use your bag. I probably will buy my own because I like gear. I think most guys do. But
We are a couple of years now.
this is a Kelty. This is a 65 liter. It's just a good bag. It's probably maybe a little bit heavier. I haven't actually weighed the bag, but it's a good bag. It's a strong bag, and my favorite part about this one has been so many different buckles and straps. The straps are great.
I think the reason that you and me got into duck hunting was just so that we could buy a ton of junk and use it.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't to shoot ducks, was it?
I don't think so. I think that was secondary.
Stephen, we've been very unsuccessful hunters in
That's
the
not
different.
true. That's not true.
We've killed a couple of ducks, but have you told him about our squirrel hunts?
We've limited out on ducks.
What about
multiple times?
What about the squirrels?
We have never even seen a squirrel when we've gone squirrel
We
hunting.
haven't even seen one.
It's because you
Not
don't shut up.
the
When
first
you're always
squirrel.
just chatting, telling me about like all that burden you're carrying is like Jesus, and I'm like, there's squirrels. We're trying to get here.
The last place that we went hunting, we went 5 minutes. The mosquitoes were so bad, we turned around and went home.
We sure did.
They were about to fly away with us. This is a fire maple. I can't remember. Solo stove, maybe. There's other brands. Jet Boil
Like
is a
jet
big
boil,
brand.
Yeah.
You screw this in, put that on top, and it's good for boiling water.
It's a water boiler.
That's usually how most people do their food. A lot of people do cold foods. The mountain houses and I did peak refuel, something like that, a little bit more expensive. So good. So good.
I found out that there was a rabbit. You know, Steven's well aware, I will go down rabbit holes. This is one rabbit hole I did not go down. I saw the hole but didn't pursue. There are like so many brands of dehydrated camp
there
meals,
are.
and some of them are crazy gourmet and crazy expensive.
So my meal Friday night, actually both nights were super good. The first night was an Alfredo chicken, and it says put in
Chicken Alfredo.
It says,
why would you say Alfredo?
I don't know why I
chicken?
did. I just did. It's still in here. The trash from it. It said put in 8 ounces of water. You put in 16. Eat the food. Then you have a nice little broth, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
Glorious. After hiking 6
I just don't
miles,
know if I want an Alfredo broth.
and it was wonderful. And then the second night was a bison bowl, which was basically chili, bison chili. But then they put 2 buttermilk biscuits in there.
Oh,
And it was so good.
Oh dear.
I was about to cut the bag open and like just really go to town on it. It was that good. And Adam liked the ones that he had too. So that's the first compartment where all the easy access stuff goes.
Yep.
Let's get into this real quick.
Buckles. All the buckles. And it's even got little webbing, so you can hang stuff.
This is my camp cup. I like these because these are light, easy. I like tea at night. Normally, I don't, but on the trail, there's nothing like just a campfire and a hot cup of tea when you're cold, and just it's something to drink. And so, coffee in the morning too.
Do you drink coffee like in the evening / night? Does it mess with you?
I've
caffeine-wise?
I've had to slow down because it started impacting my sleep. So I'll do. I don't do it for myself, but like if I'm counseling, they've got a Keurig up there, and I'll do like a decaf or a half calf, is what I do. Camp cup. A lot of people have these. A lot of people use them. In here is rain. I'm not going to get it out. It did not rain, but you don't want to get terribly too rained on. This is a camp chair. This is one of the things you could do without. You don't need a camp chair. It is a luxury and it adds about 1.5 pounds to your pack, which is a lot. You could do without this, but one of the guys we were telling about Jesus at night, he borrowed this. Like, can I try that? I borrowed it, and I don't think I got it back. So he just.
You didn't get it back that night.
Yeah, he enjoyed
it's
sitting
obviously
in it.
in your hand. Right
It's a luxury. Okay, well, let's not act like that on the podcast, Logan. It's very ugly of you to.
I love you and appreciate you. I'm glad that you're here.
Okay, and I'm not going to get sorry.
I think a camp chair is, like you said, it's definitely a luxury, but I would enjoy having somewhere to sit that's not the ground or
It's
like
very
a
nice.
stump.
It's very nice. Yeah, because I sat down on a log after he was borrowing this, and I caught a cramp. This started in my right calf, and then it moved up to my right hamstring, and then it switched sides and jumped to my quad, and I just stood.
Yeah, you're like, it's fine. I don't need to sit ever again.
Not everybody does this, but it's recommended if y'all can see to do like a trash can liner on the inside just to keep stuff dry. And it adds not that much weight. It's worth it.
And being soaking wet, and never able to get dry is the worst.
You can be wet. You don't want your extra clothes to get wet.
Yeah.
And other stuff. Extra underwear, and I did have and long johns and to sleep in, and I did have an extra pair of socks in here, but now they're on Herman's feet.
Herman somewhere murdering somebody wearing your socks.
This was extra. I didn't need these. These are just sweatpants, but I didn't want to sleep in my hiking pants. You can sleep in the hiking pants. This was definitely something. And gloves. I do felt like the gloves were necessary though, because my hands got cold, obviously. But the pants I would probably do without them. And the rest of this is just food.
And that's all in a dry bag.
In a dry bag, which is what you hang.
Which is inside of the garbage bag.
Yeah, that's right. So it's double. Pack everything out. Big on the trail. You find a lot of trash on the trail, but if you bring it in, you take it out. Leave no trace behind. And so usually one of the Ziplocs can turn into a little garbage bag that goes with you until you can dump it. I separate my food and snacks by day. Is how I try to ration it out. And my beef sticks you can have some. I think they're still good.
I'm okay.
You want one? Okay. You want one? I got almonds.
I'm not a big beef jerky guy.
This is just like the Justin hazelnut and almond butter.
It's
like
lovely.
these are great.
Lovely.
Just anything that's high calorie dense, almonds, anything like that is good to take for snacks. And then the dinners were the Mountain Houses, which is
Chicken Alfredo.
you're right, chicken Alfredo pasta.
Nobody says Alfredo
You're
chicken.
right. Nobody does. I just misspoke. I will
At
admit
least
that.
you own it.
I will admit that. I misspoke. I'm not getting everything else out because the only thing that's left in here is my pad, my sleeping pad, and then my sleeping bag, and then my tent, which is on the bottom. The two areas that I could have lost the most weight was getting an ultralight tent and a lighter sleeping pad. But I used the pad because it was free. And
Free 99.
free 99. Shout out to Jared Cummins. But the one thing that I did not have that I would tell everybody to get is walking sticks. You
Trekking
have
poles.
trekking poles. It doesn't add weight to your pack, and it is such an assistance. And so Adam had a trekking pole. I did have a trekking pole. I found a stick, and
Was it a good stick?
we went through a lot together. It was perfect, the perfect height, had a little knuckle. I was able to whittle it down that first night and just kind of make it mine, do some finger grooves. And the second night, while trying to take a selfie of myself and him, Adam stepped on it and shattered it into 3 pieces. And with that stick, my walking stick shattering into 3 pieces, my heart shattered into even more.
Yes.
And because I was going to bring it home to my kids.
And this is
And-
also a real life example of how you are an old man because you sat at a fire at night whittling.
I did. I really did with this pocket knife right here. And I took 2 knives. I feel like it's helpful to have 2 knives. So I had this, and then I had one that just kind of hung on my hip. That kept Herman away.
He saw it. He
But-
was aware.
You know, I hear stories of like the guy that was rock climbing and he got trapped. Like, what if that happened? What if I got my right arm trapped and I need like 2 knives, to whatever, well, not whatever.
Imagine
but-
if you had to cut your arm off with that little 1-inch blade.
Exactly. So that's why the other blade was helpful. It was more sharp. And then the last thing is a little multi-tool of a compass, a whistle, a thermometer, and a magnifying glass. Mostly the whistle. We didn't carry bear spray, but I felt like an effective alternative could have been maybe a whistle. I've never tried it on a bear.
There's stuff.
But-
We don't deal with a lot of bears where we live locally, but I have read things lately that people are starting to question the how well bear spray works.
Mhm.
Apparently, they're saying like it doesn't really stop them.
I've never had to use it.
Me neither.
The good thing with the packs is if you are attacked by a bear, one, black bears are going to leave you alone. Black bears
Right.
don't mess with you.
Which is why here it's not.
The grizzly bears, not so much. I feel like if you could lay down and play dead, the pack, especially if it's a big one that comes way up here, the pack could protect you big time.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
The adage I've heard is if it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. If
Yeah.
it's white, good night. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's it. Yeah, the
Okay.
polar bears are the worst.
Yeah.
You're
They're
dead.
the cutest though. It's,
In
Not
a
in
Coke
person.
commercial, maybe.
well,
In real life,
they're
Yeah.
savage looking.
they're savages.
they can look cute.
There's a story that I heard on a podcast of a polar bear that like just hunted these guys down that
Yeah.
were stuck and they could do nothing about it. Just watch their friend get like dragged out of the boat and like brutal. So yeah, if it's white, just good night.
Yeah.
So I will just never go to the Arctic Circle and we'll be fine.
That'll do it.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. Talk to me about the ultralight tent. That was an interesting thing because there's the part about ultralight for the most part versus a conventional backpacking tent is tent poles.
Yeah.
Plus material, but
Typically, the ultralight stuff is more expensive, just because more durable materials, less of the material. This tent weighs about 5.5 pounds, way too much. Like if I'm going to do a big section, I'm not bringing this. And that's where a lot of people cut weight is just no tents staying in the shelter, a pad and staying in the shelter. But a lot of the ultralight tents, what I will probably go with when I do it is you can get an ultralight tent that weighs about 2 pounds. But the trekking poles is the frame. It's trekking poles and paracord. And so you'll put one at the front, one at the back. You'll use that reverse tension to hold those up, and then you'll stake tension down in front and then to the sides. And all of that tension just holds those 2 poles up. And that way you have poles that don't add weight to your pack, and you have a lighter tent. My base weight here without food or water was probably 20 Once I put the clothes in, it was probably 25. That's a decent base weight. You can live with that. You can live with a 25-pound base weight because the rule is no more than 1/3 of your body weight.
That means I can pack all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah,
I could have a little trailer dragging behind me.
if you wanted to. Wouldn't recommend
I
it.
would not at all. And that just means that when Cash and Grayson go, they're going to be useless. They can't carry anything.
Yeah, we did pass a mom and a dad and a 8-year-old boy going to hike where we had just camped the night before, and he had on a little backpack, and the mom had it on a little bit bigger backpack, and the dad had the stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was loaded. He was the mule.
Yes.
Loaded down.
Yeah. That kid had like an iPad and an Apple in his.
He maybe was carrying dinner.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of mountain houses. Yeah.
Maybe. If that. That's probably what the mom was carrying.
Yeah.
Wild. So, would you like to do a through hike at some point, or how? What do you see as that?
I mean, with our life, with the 3 babies right now, I don't know. Maybe in the future, I don't know about a true through hike, but I would love to take like a year and knock out a state.
Yeah.
You could do Georgia throughout a year easily. The biggest, Virginia has the most miles. Virginia's got like 500, so that's the big chunk. I don't know. You may have to spread that over 2 or 3 years. But I mean, if you're strictly hiking, averaging 2.5 miles an hour, you can make some miles on it. Like the two guys that slept in the shelter with Herman, they were doing 130 miles from somewhere in Georgia to the Nantahala Outdoor Center in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So they were doing a long trip.
That is a long trip. I haven't done a lot of that. You know, growing up, my dad was just like not a fan. He was like, I've lived outside and camped outside. I like air conditioning. I like being inside. And like, we never even did picnics growing up. And so it's something I've gotten more interested in the last few years. One, like a YouTube channel that I've really enjoyed is a thing called Outdoor Boys. It's a guy who was born and raised in Alaska, moved to Virginia, and then just recently moved back to Alaska. He's got 3 boys. And he'll do survival camping. He'll do like long distance treks like that. He'll do all kinds of stuff. And it's super interesting. But like, he talks a lot about the ultralight stuff, because what he said was, if you're going to take children or family camping, you have to be a fan of ultralight.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're just carrying too much junk. It's just too much stuff.
And you're going to end up with their backpack on and
yes.
all kinds of stuff.
And so like, he has a big hyperlight bag. He has a Dyneema tent that they all sleep in.
The hyperlights are nice.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
But that's just because he's like, well, one, he does it full time. Like, this is his job. But he's like, I got to cut weight everywhere because I'm carrying stuff for 1 to 2 to 3 boys plus himself.
Yep.
And so it's been super interesting. You know, that's something that I would love to do more and be a part of more. So we should do it sometime.
Yeah, we just don't have those opportunities in Mississippi as much as other states.
Not like that.
Not like
there's
that.
campgrounds. And
there's
stuff,
campgrounds, but not like hiking.
Yeah,
like this.
I agree. So we'll just have to figure it out, make it happen. Chris, any last things you want to say? Any shout outs? You've given a lot of shout outs.
I've given a lot of shout outs. I was instructed to say that, Kayla, you're my queen, and I'm just going to close it with that.
That's good.
She told,
Any questions? Last things?
Other than this episode, what's your favorite episode of the podcast?
Oh, man. See, so that's what's great about y'all's podcast is everybody has experienced the things that y'all have talked about. And that's a really hard question because I've thoroughly enjoyed all of them. Thanks for putting me on the spot. I'll just talk about the coffee episode because I enjoy drinking coffee. I am not going to discriminate on coffee, whether it's Keurig, gas station, my house, your house,
Maxwell House,
wherever. I have started drinking Black Rifle coffee.
Yeah.
Drinking Tactus Squatch right now. That's the flavor. That's the blend. It's really good. But I like that episode.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Okay.
I think there's an episode I liked more, but it's not coming to my mind right now.
Well, you'll be episode 19. So there's 18 other ones that you can choose from.
I enjoyed Nick's.
Nick's was good. We did all about it. We still have
the worms.
Baby brush hogs right here. We still talk about it. It's great.
We're about approaching the I guess I'll just say need then for another like viewer review episode.
We do need to do
like
that.
Nick did. So Maybe
I
must
like
do
the
that.
one when you started to get heated over the fast food. That was this last one, wasn't
was-
it? Two
I wouldn't say I
episodes
got-
ago.
I wouldn't say I got heated.
It was getting
With the
close.
chicken? Or
No,
with-
not the chicken with Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's. You were wrong, 100%. I am all on your side for that.
Whatever.
Maybe
I
used
got
to,
called
maybe
out.
maybe used to be the gold standard, but not anymore. In the 70s when it came out.
I think if you left Central Mississippi, you'd feel different.
Gold standard is subjective and geographical. So if you go to California, what's the gold standard? In and out.
Yes.
If you're here, what's the gold standard? Chick-fil-A, the Lord's
true.
chicken.
Or Whataburger if you're looking for a burger.
If you're in Texas, what's gold standard? It may be Chick-fil-A or Whataburger.
It's Whataburger.
Yeah.
Whataburger in Texas hits different.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
I amen to that.
I like him. Let's bring him back.
I'm down for that.
Whataburger does not make the best fast food burger.
Because you haven't eaten it in Texas.
It hits
I
different.
have eaten in Texas.
Dairy Queen in Texas hits different.